Podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Hello and welcome to Cooking with Brief, the internet's longest running general knowledge podcast of questionable accuracy. As always, my name's Chris, and as always, I'm joined by someone also called Chris, my glorious co-host with the mo-host, even if that doesn't make sense. It's Chris.
Hello, I am that Chris.
You are that Chris.
No mo-host though, just some host.
Some host,
yeah.
Not mo-host.
No. It is.
No.
It has been a while since we've done one of these.
It feels like it's been ages.
Yeah. We keep taking these unexplained hiatuses. But that's life.
We don't intend to explain this latest one either.
No, but the thing is, I'm trying to think, like, what... I don't know if there's a specific reason. It's just, like, our work schedules haven't lined up. I got the dreaded COVID and survived, obviously.
Yeah, you did. COVID. Oh, yeah, I should have introduced you as COVID survivor.
Yeah, I've now got it. I got the mildest strain possible and fully vaccinated. So I had, like, I was a bit tired for a bit. But yes, I am a survivor.
There we go. That's what counts. You and Beyonce have something in common.
Just another thing to add to the list of things that I share in common with. I too have a alter ego for my side projects. Actually, I think I might be my own. Well, obviously everyone's got their own alter ego, but like this podcast might be our alter egos things because we don't tell like
That's true.
anyone in our actual lives about it.
No, we do not. We keep it secret and shamefully hidden.
Yeah, like a sore or a boil you're embarrassed to go to the doctor about.
Yes, exactly. If there's one thing we can say this podcast is,
it's a rash.
Equivalent of an embarrassing rash.
Yeah, the gaping wound of the comedy podcast world.
And so on that note, the way the podcast works. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, welcome. Hopefully you're still here, 2.5 minutes in, you haven't been scared off. The way the podcast works is each of us have scoured the internet. We've scoured newspapers, physical and digital. We've even sat in toilet cubicles and tried to overhear conversations being had at the urinals. And from this, we have found you some interesting and bizarre and unusual facts, and we share them with each other for the first time. So I will be just as surprised as you are when we hear Chris's first topic. And so, over to you, Chris.
So for my topic, it's inspired by something we got up to in our unplanned hiatus for the first time, I think ever in our long and illustrious friendship. We went on holiday together. It was a romantic getaway to the Lake District, and we shared a cosy yurt. There were other people there, I should point out, but in fact, actually, like, the whole long weekend conspired to keep us apart. It was just a weird coincidence where we always got placed other end of the table, and we were just waving to each other.
Exactly. We had to. We had a mutual friend there, and then the rest of the time we were forced to make small talk with friends of friends. And
I know. I thought of it as networking.
Networking, exactly.
Yeah, networking with a series of medically qualified people.
Yes.
But it was nice. But on that trip, I had a new experience, and as I get older, then they seem to get rarer. But I had a black pudding Scotch egg. My entire topic isn't just about the Scotch egg, which I've banged on about ever since.
I think, just for context to the listeners, Chris had this Scotch egg. It was like a man who'd had a revelation, and then also proceeded to share the amazing black pudding Scotch egg not share it phically because it was too good to share
the whole thing.
Yeah. But to share the knowledge that this thing existed with all and sundry, and now
stopping
he's
people in the street.
Yes. And not content with merely telling people in his real life, he now turned this podcast into an advert.
Yeah, it was sort of like, I'm a big proponent of both the Scotch egg and the black pudding, and like I was genuinely quite emotional after eating it because I knew I wouldn't eat it again for the first time. It's so pathetic, but it was so good. It was runny in the middle. Anyway, so
wait. Before, just for any, mean, most of our listeners are overseas. Is the Scotch egg an international delicacy, or is it a British thing? I don't know. Do we need to explain the concept of the Scotch egg?
Let's explain it just in case, because I guess with the verb to Scotch, I don't know whether that translates well. It's a normal Scotch egg is a boiled egg covered in like meat and breadcrumbs, and they're often fried. So it's like a battered egg. But
with sausage, with meat, like sausage meat
sausage meat, yeah. But this was like a runny egg yolk wrapped in black pudding, wrapped in sausage meat, and then breadcrumbs. And it was, I don't know, and black pudding is like offal and
black pudding sounds more disgusting than it is.
Yeah,
there's no way to describe black pudding without it sounding absolutely atrocious, and I didn't eat it for the first 20 years of my life because I was like, that sounds gross, despite it being a local delicacy to where we grew up in the Northwest. There's no way to describe it without it sounding gross, but it is actually delicious.
Yeah, 100%. Like,
I think it's
when people
it's
are
a bit like haggis, isn't it? In haggis, a bit of it's sliced.
I think so I guess they put oats in it and stuff, so it's a bit more like it's quite crumbly. But yeah, and when you say like it's really good, but it's a blood-based offal sausage, and you're like that, no thank you, and you're like fair, but it's really good. So anyway, this got me thinking. I mean, just generally, it got me genuinely a bit like existential, like what is there to come after this, but. Just about the history of the classic English breakfast, because it's such a staple of people's lives here. So my question, 4 minutes into this topic, is describe your perfect full English lineup.
Okay,
please.
So for me, I'd have, and I actually had a full English this morning, but it was a bit of a healthier one. But like, if I was being fully on it, I'd have toast. That's
good start.
Yep, good start. Buttered toast.
And that's where it ends.
Yeah, just a slice of buttered toast. No, so I'd have a toast. Beans. Then the
so far beans on toast.
Yeah. Well, these are the like. If anything, these are the accompaniments, but like I feel like you need them to make it. Then I'd have sausage, bacon, which, seems a trifle unnecessary, really, because you're having the same animal just prepared in two different ways, but still, sausage and bacon. An egg, usually fried. Although I do like a poached egg, but I think in a full English, I think I'd normally go fried. So you can have half a tomato, but in my personal, I'm not a big tomato fan, but then sometimes when it's cooked right, it goes dead sweet and it's really nice. So I can take or leave the tomato. If it is, it has to be like cooked nice, but sweet. And then for me personally, the main and not the main bit, like you can have a full English without this, and but my favourite part of a full English, hash browns.
Mm-hmm. So no, mushrooms aren't on there at
mushrooms. Oh yeah, I would have mushrooms, but again, they're a bit like the tomato. I prefer mushrooms to tomato, but like they're optional. Like if somebody served me a full English without like sausage or bacon, I'd be like, this is not full English. Somebody served it me without mushrooms, I'd be like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's optional because in my mind, bacon, sausage, egg, bread, beans, I guess, is
Yeah, I'd say that's the core.
The minimum that you need to qualify. Everything else is extra.
Yeah.
Because I was surprised that a 2018 poll in some newspaper, probably right wing, because basically all our newspapers are. So the consensus was that full English is sausage, bacon, egg, tomato, mushrooms, fried bread, and beans.
Oh, fried bread. I do like a bit of fried bread, but I'd swap it for hash browns.
Yeah, same. Yeah, hash browns nowhere to be seen, and personally, I think it's a delight. Apparently, it's too American.
No.
This is all blatant black pudding erasure, but I get it's not everyone's cup of tea.
Oh,
you would often have a cup of tea with it.
Yes, should be washed down with a cup of tea. I was going to say, though, so the black pudding, again, delightful when it's included, but I would say optional. Also, interesting thing about, so obviously you can't have a full English breakfast without bringing geopolitics into it.
Of course.
There's also, and these are all basically the exact same thing, but because you couldn't, no self-respecting Irishman or Scotsman or Welshman would serve somebody a full English, which means they've all got their own spin. So there's the full Irish, which includes white pudding, which I'm still not entirely sure what it is, but it's similar to black pudding, but white.
Yep.
Full Scottish usually has a haggis. I feel like, in fact, the black pudding bit is the bit that's like localized. So England, you're more likely to have a black pudding. Scotland, you get haggis instead of the black pudding, or as well as.
And with Scotland, they have square lawn sausage.
Oh, yeah. Oh, also, potato cake things often in Scotland, or tatty scones, I believe they call them.
Tatty scones, and then in Ireland, it's soda bread for your potato cake
and
thing.
I don't think I've ever actually had a full Welsh, but I am 100% certain that it exists because.
Yep, I've got it here.
Oh,
it's bacon, sausage, egg, all the usual stuff, and then lava bread instead of your toast or your.
Okay.
So again, it's a thin potato cake-esque potato. Yeah. But okay, yeah. I mean, you're absolutely nailing all my talking points.
Oh, sorry.
So. No. In an absolutely good way. In a I was going to say there are regional variances, but because these islands are tiny, yet we will find the smallest reasons to find regional differences. Yep. I've got even more microscopic differences from just around around Britain. So West Country, you can have it with hog's pudding, which is so like black pudding that I don't know why they bothered finding a difference, but it's like black pudding. But it's offal and then mixed with oats and cream, eggs, herbs, and spices made into a sausage. And it's famous enough that so Jane Austen lived with a woman in Hampshire called Martha Lloyd, who wrote a cookbook, and it was included in that. So it must have been, unless she invented it. There's oat cakes, but not Scottish oat cakes. There's Midlands. There's Birmingham.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was going to say, are we still in the West Country, or have we moved on?
Oh, right. No, yeah, that's everything. So that's. I mean, most of the time it's your bacon, sausage, egg, and some sort of bread. These are just little
quirks.
Yeah. So a Midlands oat cake, which is different to the Scottish oat cake, which is more like a cracker, I think. But the Midlands oat cake is like a floppy oat-based pancake.
Oh, no, don't know how I feel about that.
They used to have a cart with them and go door to door for workers leaving for the factory, where you get sausage, bacon, and egg wrapped in a oat-based pancake, and they used to pass them through the front window.
Door to window delivery.
yeah. There's fruit pudding, which is a northern Scottish thing, which is pan-fried suet, oatmeal and flour served with egg, sausage, and bacon, which looks stodgy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sure it's delicious, but the full English is already a heavy. It's basically it was what you had to fuel you for like a full day of farming or whatever and not get hungry. And this is going, oh, we're going to put basically like rich fruit cake in there. So you start off with like Christmas cake and then have a full English. It's also known as a mealy pudding or a clooty dumpling. If you want a Yorkshire twang on it, you can have it with dock pudding, which is wild, normal stuff, and then just on the side you'd have dock pudding, which is like wild spring plants such as nettles and dock leaves, slow cooked with oatmeal until it forms like a block, and then you fry it in bacon fat because fuck your arteries.
I know we are proud
Lancastrians,
or kind of, technically not, but
okay, Mancunians.
Yeah, but historically Lancastrians, and but normally we both went to university over the Pennines in Yorkshire.
Yep.
And so normally I try to give our cousins on the other side of the Pennines the benefit of the doubt, but what are they thinking? Nettles and dock leaves, and then they're just like, oh, just throw some bacon fat on it as well. Just what?
Yeah, that's as good as berry black pudding. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's it. Like,
yeah.
I try not to, I try to give them the benefit of the doubt and not instantly devolve into the War of the Roses, the smallest issue. But on this one, we're going to have to say you're wrong, Yorkshire.
As a peace offering, we both, I think, agreed that Yorkshire tea is better than Lancashire tea.
Yeah, we'll give you that 100%.
Fair play. But the dock pudding is an absolute swing and a miss. Yeah. In London and the southeast, you can have bubble and squeak with your full English, which is potato and cabbage mashed into a block and then fried. Mm-hmm. So quite similar to like the dock pudding, but better.
Yeah.
Like
made of actual edible.
Yeah, not nettles. Yeah, you're not a rogue donkey just like nibbling at the side of the road. But yeah, I've had bubble and squeak, but never as a part of a full English, and I quite like the idea of
but it
like
does
potato
make
and
sense
cabbage
because it's supposed to be like bubble and squeak is usually started off as last night's leftovers, so it makes sense that you'd incorporate it into the next day's breakfast, really.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm on board, so I might have to try that one. Sorry, duck pudding, but you're not getting a look in. And then finally, from Newcastle and the northeast, you can have a stotty.
Oh yeah, stotty.
A beaten stotty. It comes from the Northumbrian phrase "to stot," meaning to bounce, because it's got the sort of consistency of a crumpet, but it's more bread-like, so it's halfway between like a breakfast muffin and a crumpet, and then filled with your breakfast meat of choice. So you can have your full English inside the stotty. And Greggs tried to sell them all over used to sell bacon stotties or sausage stotties or whatever, and they didn't do very well, so now they only sell them in the northeast.
Oh, gutted.
But last time I went to Newcastle, I had a bacon stotty, and it was very nice, and it was, so close to a bacon. What would you have here? Would you have a oven bottom muffin? Yeah. That's a Lancashire thing.
Well, here's another regional. Well, two things I got to say. One, there's a cafe that has opened up not far from me that I've frequented a few times, but it's very strange. They serve food until 3:00, but they stop selling full Englishes at 12. But you can get all the various ingredients of the full English in a muffin, in sandwich form, until 3:00. So for the life of me, I cannot understand why they don't sell it. You can get all the ingredients, but in a sandwich. But if you were to ask for it on a plate after 12, they say, no, sorry, I can't do that. And it's like, well,
the big plate dishwasher only works till midday.
Yeah.
So,
and then the other thing I was going to say is another thing that you said about how we will find the smallest petty differences to argue over.
Yeah.
What you call a bread roll.
Yeah.
Around is it a barm? Is it a bap? I feel like I'm happy with barm or
muffin?
bap. Yeah, muffin.
Yeah.
But then I'd say a muffin is like, here's where it gets even trickier, because then you've got English muffins, which are different to oven bottom muffins.
Yep.
But they're both called muffins. And then there's other things that some people call a muffin, Then you got American
cob.
muffins, cob, bloomer, like all these different things that you can just call what is just essentially a lump of bread cut in half.
Yeah.
And yet we have found ways to argue over what that could possibly be called.
Yeah, it's how you taught me the word, is it shibboleth? And it's a thing where it's like what you call something is a geographical indicator. So someone can work out if you called it a cob, you'd be from the Midlands or whatever. If you called it a stotty, you'd be from the northeast. Yeah. Because the same with America and what they call like fizzy
soda pop.
Pop or apparently there's loads of different regional words for it.
Whereas I feel like in Britain we just call them fizzy drinks.
Yeah,
I feel like sounds like the most like it's like regional differences. Really, just fizzy drinks.
Yeah, it's the most like Willy Wonka like come children, try a fizzing drink. But yeah, that is the varied like smorgasbord of little tweaks you can add to your full English.
Could you have would you ever serve a smorgasbord made up of a full English? Is there technically, could a full English constitute a smorgasbord?
Well, I don't know, because that's a smorgasbord is just like Swedish for sandwich board. So if you a deconstructed on a wooden platter, would that count? Exactly. Although I suppose, I mean, a full English is already pretty deconstructed.
Spread it out slightly more. Just a bigger plate.
Yeah, but only until midday. People have strong opinions about, like, some people are very particular about a retaining wall of meat products to separate beans from egg.
Oh, no. I like to just use my bread to soak
hands.
Up. Yeah. No, I use the bread to soak up the bean juice.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the joy of it is if you can navigate your fork to have a little bit of each element all in one bite. Delightful. It is superb.
Delightful.
So yeah, I don't know if like we learned much, but we both agreed that breakfast is great. It's my favourite topic, and there is no fact. Like, the fact is that English people like offal, but we knew that already. So welcome back, listeners. Is this what you've missed?
Oh, thank you very much, and well, over to me. Okay, so thank you, Chris, and thank you, me, for throwing it over to me. I would like to talk to you now about a place where, I mean, here's a segue that'll get us cancelled, but where bacon and sausages, the things we have just established as and black pudding, the main components, are rarely served. Which means, yes, we're taking this podcast to the Middle East.
I don't think that's as cancelable as you think it is. Like, I think it's pretty well documented.
It's pretty accurate. Yeah, it is accurate. I feel like sometimes, though, when you bring things up, people are just like, you can't bring that up. It's like, why? It's entirely factually accurate. Yeah, but you shouldn't say it. Yeah, but why?
They don't.
Well, if there's anything we know about cancel culture, it's that it's usually entirely self-inflicted and usually like harked on about by people with a audience of literally millions. Yeah, while saying that I can't say anything, he says from his paid slot on his regular TV show
or like Netflix special,
or newspaper column.
Yeah.
Starting in today, whilst Dickhead McDick says talks about cancel culture in his weekly column.
I mean,
he's paid hundreds of thousands of pounds.
His parents were cruel to name him Dick after his surname is already McDick, but sure. Richard McDick.
Anyway, cancel culture out of the way. Where would you think, if you were to think of like high-tech, forward-thinking cities, and like I say, I've already given it away now with like limiting this to the Middle East. What's the first city you think of?
I mean, you think Dubai, don't you?
You do. Thank you. I'm glad you said that. That is exactly what we're going to talk about.
Oh, phew.
Although it's actually wider than that. It's United Arab Emirates, the UAE, but we're going to specifically talk about Dubai because obviously it's one of the most high-tech cities on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Things that you can see in Dubai include the tallest building by far ever built, the most like expensive, poshest hotel ever, which is built on an artificial island.
Yep.
Golf courses, like lush green golf courses and water parks and stuff in the desert, and the incredible like infrastructure and stuff that's needed to keep that working. They've even got like indoor ski slopes with real snow in the desert. Again, they built islands off the coast, like artificial islands off the coast in the shape of a palm and like in the shape of the like a map of the world. Like, it's a city, because they've obviously got a fair bit of money. They've really like accelerated it from, within literally a few decades. It went from like a handful of people in some like, a handful of like low-rise buildings to this mega city, neon lights and all that. But I want to talk to you about the one thing they didn't upgrade until very recently, and I think it's still not fully. This is from 2015. They started to address this, which is a pun that will make sense in a second. And yeah, it's still ongoing. This city, and I've just named a bunch of the things that you may want to visit. None of them have addresses.
Oh, that seems like a massive oversight.
Yeah. So until very recently, again, there were no, I say very recently, post 2015, they never upgraded the system for naming streets, which is in they didn't name them, because back when it was just a handful of buildings and stuff, didn't really need addresses. There weren't that many people. You knew where to go.
Yeah, one postman.
And yeah, the population exploded. All this money came in. All these buildings popped up, and they went, should we put in some sort of system for finding our way around? They went, nah. Everyone will know.
So is it just like higher and higher numbers?
Well, basically, they just don't have any system until very recently. Apparently, it was a known thing. Like, typical issues that people would have would be like, say you order a takeaway, it turns up an hour late and it's cold because they just couldn't find your house. Literally, apparently, the way you had to do it you'd have to describe where it is in relation to, the same way you do when somebody asks you for directions. You go, you go down there, you take a left, and then it's the big, it's the big white building over there. It's the one behind that.
But all the buildings look the same, I assume. So it's like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the inexplicable like monument to, like income inequality in the desert.
Yes,
but on the left.
That one.
Yeah.
The way they sort of addressed it was they had like PO boxes.
Yeah.
And so things would just go into one central thing and you'd go collect it. And then they'd have like people who knew, so the guy who knew where the building was that he was doing his deliveries might go, but there was no official system for sending things to a specific building. You could get couriers and stuff. And and apparently as well, it was really difficult because the roads kept changing as well, because they kept building more. So the road that used to be there now got knocked down and turned into a 6-lane highway. And then apparently what they kind of did was they kind of skipped a level. Like how in Africa, apparently, like in lots of parts of Africa, mobile phone usage was sort of like, basically they skipped between, we obviously went from like no phones to landlines to mobile phones, whereas they skipped from no phones to mobile phones, and therefore there's loads of like countries in Africa and stuff where they do so many things with like paying for things by text because they just skipped straight to that. So they developed the technology faster and adapted it.
Because there's no like landline.
Yeah. So they just skipped to generation basically. And so they actually developed it further. And apparently that basically happened in Dubai, where they went straight from, because they never had addresses. And then GPS came about. So then it became easier for them to just be like, so apparently Uber's fastest growing city was Dubai, because everyone was so used to not being able to give somebody an address, they just skipped straight to being like, this is my precise location down to the meter as measured by GPS satellites.
Yeah.
Here you go. I'm here. And they'd be like, so just skip that. So rather than having to give a taxi driver your address, they just
here are my coordinates,
Yeah. And so apparently uptake was massive. And so like other things that rely on GPS and stuff have just, catapulted like in popularity compared to other places because they were like, yeah. Whereas we'd be like, well, do I really need to give them my location down to the meter? Like I can just say I live in, one whatever street. And they're like, yep, nope, we're precise. Locations are very useful.
It's a good insight to, if you had to come up with a fake address on the spot, you come up with one whatever street.
I wouldn't be a very good spy.
Yeah, so where do you live? House Lane Avenue Street.
Yeah, I live on Avenue Street.
Well, that's a problem I have because there is no clear. I won't obviously say my real address, but let's say I live on Maple Street. Is with zero demarcation, it becomes Maple Avenue, just further down the road, and the numbers just start all over again. So within 100 yards of my house, on the same road, there is 3 identical houses with the same number, which is insensical, but
yes,
not as silly as Dubai's.
Nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A, have you been to Dubai? And B, is it somewhere on your bucket list to go?
I have been, and what's mad is that I went with my parents when I was younger, and whilst obviously I went post, like the boom and everything was obviously had already started, hence why we went in the first place. Since then, it has grown 10 times. Well, maybe not 10 times, but like a lot of the things that people go to see now, even then, didn't exist. But obviously,
it was a big place,
it
but
was
not
already
like a gleaming metropolis. That
it was a place that people knew was a place to go. Like we hadn't gone to Dubai, and people were like, oh, Dubai, never heard of that. It was obviously a place.
Is it near Marrakesh?
That sounds nice. Yeah. It was obviously a place people knew of and went to, and obviously it had the fancy hotels and stuff already. But it hadn't quite skyrocketed like it has now. Like, I think we were there, they'd started building, like, the islands, like the ones off, like in the shape of a palm and stuff like that, but they hadn't. Yeah. So it was becoming a thing. Well, it was a thing, and it was.
But it wasn't a capital T thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't the thing.
What it is now. Yeah. How about you?
Never been. I don't know. There are some places in the world where London's a good example of. You look round, and you think, this would be the most amazing place if I was incredibly loaded, but I am not. So I deal with the shortcomings of living in a giant metropolis. And I suspect New York is the same thing. It's like all these things are like on show, but like you're excluded from them because it's like $100 per plate of dumplings or whatever. Dubai seems like the most the bigger the wealth gap. It'd be like so much stuff to do that I could absolutely not afford. So like
if you were rich and you went, I bet it'd be amazing.
Yeah, like
if you're not. I don't know. I looked at going recently, but it was so much just to get there, and then you're like, is that much to do when you're there? Especially if you've not loaded and you can't pay for I don't know, helicopter golf or whatever madness they come up with.
That's it. If you, it would be great. Like all expenses, like a trip of a lifetime sort of competition win where it's like an amazing suite at this 10-star hotel and you're like, I didn't even know they did 10-star hotels, where you think this seems immorally just luxurious, but you're not going to stay in that hotel. You're going to stay at a 2-star hotel, which would probably be like a 4 here, and I'm sure it'd be nice, but you'd be like, but
knowing that there's nicer just down the road, you'd be like, oh.
Only one Swedish
you could be like,
included in my
people
trip.
Could be like, this is literally the best hotel you've ever stayed in. It's like, yeah, but there's a really much better one just there.
I'm only on the second floor of the giant golden tower in the desert. So it's not something that's particularly attractive to me. and while I can't afford it, I'm going to pretend that that's a moral choice. But if offered the opportunity, free of charge, then I am suddenly a billionaire mindset.
Oh yeah. Tell you what's interesting with... So I knew somebody who moved out there for a bit. She explained that basically it's... So do you know when you see the stories where somebody gets arrested for drinking wine? You know, for being drunk, sorry.
Yeah.
But they're drunk on the wine that they were given on the Emirates flight that took them there.
Yeah.
And you're sort of like, well, how's that... Like, how can you give... And, you know, it all seems a bit like... You know, like a bit, how would you say it? Like, contradictory.
Yeah,
like, you can be arrested for public indecency, but they have loads of beaches where they get tourists to go and sit obviously in the bikinis and swim shorts and stuff. But then, and apparently the problem is, also, like, the way it works, according to this person, was it's sort of like they have all these laws that they normally don't enforce, but if you piss off the wrong policeman, or if you're already being done for one thing, they'll throw all these other things at you. You know, so like...
It's almost like entrapment,
so
like taking advantage of all these beautiful things, but all these beautiful things can also be your downfall, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And like, so, you know, there's loads of bars and whatever, and so they're obviously fully expecting people to partake in the alcohol on offer.
And spend money,
And spend the money. But then if you were to, I don't know, something happened and, you know, police were involved and then they saw you were drunk, they'd be like, well, that's another 5 years on your sentence.
Yeah.
Whatever. Even though, like, stuff like that. And so it just seems a bit like obviously, for the vast majority of people, no issues.
Yeah.
But if you're one of the unlucky ones or whatever, then
they make an example of you,
Because it's a bit like how technically in the Netherlands, weed is illegal.
Yeah.
But it's not. But it is. You know, like all those coffee shops and stuff are technically illegal, and they apparently have to get like those deliveries of weed and stuff at midnight and things like that because you're not allowed to actually sell it. But then the police turn a blind, you know, like official policy is to turn a blind eye.
Yeah.
But technically, if they really wanted to, they could arrest like all these coffee shop owners in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Like if they felt like it, they could walk in, arrest them, and it's all on the books.
Yeah, like if
they just choose not to.
Yeah, if they suspected it was like a front for something else, or there was something dodgy with your taxes, you could get them on that loophole that that they've clearly set up to encourage. You know, it's exactly. Tricky. Whereas, you know, at least in this country, well, soon enough, or you know, you just get arrested for just taking part in a peaceful protest.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the new utopia we live in.
Yeah, and we've not even got like nice beaches to make up for it.
No, exactly.
We've got Skegness.
Although with global warming, you know, it's going to become a right holiday destination.
Yeah, that's
Skegness.
the Dubai of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the spin that these catastrophizing climate scientists never spin on it. It's like, well, soon enough, Dublin's going to be a tropical oasis, so...
Exactly. So get in now.
So Guinness on the beach.
Exactly. If anything, if you're smart, the trick would be to buy property that isn't beachfront, but will be when the sea levels rise.
So, yeah, like 5 miles in, you know, what's that? That's... So Blackpool's underwater, Lancaster's underwater. Maybe like Manchester. We're looking at like beachfront properties soon.
Beachfront property in Manchester.
Along Deansgate, yeah. It's no longer a canal.
Phrase. Who was it who said, was it like Tony Wilson or somebody who said like, Manchester's got everything except a beach? Well. Soon.
Look who's laughing now, dead Tony Wilson. Is Tony Wilson dead?
I think so.
Let's assume so.
If he's not, he's going to have a shock when he finds out.
But, you know, still, thanks for listening, Tony.
Yeah, I'm surprised, but you're welcome.
Yeah.
Nope, he died in 2007. Well, pour one out for Tony Wilson. So, on that note, and without further ado, I think it's time to bid thee farewell. We have been on quite a journey, as ever, emotionally and not literally physically, but our tales have taken us on a tour of the British Isles and to the Middle East. Incidentally, and to wrap both topics up,
We're going on tour.
Yes, well, please buy our Dubai show. You may be arrested. Premier Inns, who serve, I must stress, this is in no way an advert. Premier Inn, which, for those who don't know, is a sort of budget British hotel chain. I suppose it's a bit like Holiday Inn Express.
Yep.
Would be its sort of American or international sort of equivalent. They operate in the British Isles, and weirdly, the only other place that I'm aware of anyway is the Middle East. Dubai, specifically.
We're the premier inn of indie comedy podcasts.
Yes, or this episode is anyway.
Oh, yeah, true.
But yeah, and again, stress this is in no way an advert, but Premier Inn do serve you get the full English breakfast at Premier Inn. And who knows? In fact, that would be an interesting thing. What is in the Premier Inn breakfast in Premier Inns in Dubai?
Oh, that tickled my neurons.
Yeah, so any listeners with experience, feel free to let us know the answer. So if I was going to say send your answers into this, but also even if you just want to have a chat, or if you want to send in any feedback, or anything really. But specifically, if you know about Premier Inn's breakfasts in Dubai, we'd like to know, so you can contact us by either emailing us at cookingwithgrief@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Twitter, which is at cookingwithgrief, but there's no G on cooking. Or you could leave a comment on YouTube, and please like, share, subscribe, follow, whatever it is on whatever platform you're using, which means you'll get our quality goodness into your ears. And
I don't know if I like that as a phrase, but carry on.
Too late now. I've spoken it into existence.
Okay.
And as always, we'd appreciate leaving a review and preferably a 5-star, but you can use whatever star you like on rating on iTunes. And please tell your friends, because word of mouth would really help us spread these quality goodness into other people's ears.
Yeah, I'd say if you don't have any inside information about the Dubai full English, just your full English or full Scottish or whatever, hot takes, what do you do differently? What breakfast hills do you stand on? Just thoughts and feelings about the full English. Would you like to contradict anything that we have claimed is gospel?
Or if you're not English, or just have opinions, anti-English or British opinions, what's the better? What do you prefer? A continental breakfast? Do you prefer the American breakfast, pancakes and bacon and so on? Or let us know. Let's have some breakfast fights.
Yeah, what's better, black pudding or grits?
Exactly.
Black pudding, obviously. It's like comparing apples and oranges.
If oranges were shit.
And apples were black pudding.
Yes.
Can we call this episode "If Apples Were Shit" or "If Oranges Were Shit"? I don't think we can swear in the episode titles, but I do like it as a phrase.
We'll put a
asterisk instead of the I.
Or a strategic exclamation mark.
Yeah, makes sense. If oranges were shit.
All right. And on that note, goodbye.
Goodbye. It's fun to be back. We'll be back again soon.
Possibly.
Yeah, who knows.
We never know.
If this is last episode, farewell. It's been a blast.
Bye.
Bye.